We got the phone, we got this.
See?
Okay. Alright, let's overanalyze this shot, shall we? For the glory of Rome. On the left, we've got a civilized man with uncivilized hair. And before you say anything, yeah, we tried to make him cut it. Oh, we tried. He just won't do it. For the love of Jupiter, he won't do it. Beard is fine though, it's found in iconography. On the right side, we've got an uncivilized barbarian woman with very, very pretty hair. We got red, find a blonde whatever the heck sister of yours, and we will be in business. Roman women love that shit. Also, the notion that only prostitutes in ancient Rome would wear blonde wigs is false. It's a myth. We'll make you rich, woman. Alright, so what can we do to civilize this barbarian? Let's dress her up in Roman military gear. Any reference to things or people or Skyrim is purely coincidental. Alright, so first and foremost we're starting with tunic, in Latin tunica. So we need to undress her, for science of course. We decided to go for 2 tunics because it was cold, but believe it or not, this is something mentioned in the sources that sometimes the Romans would do, particularly when they were in places such as, you know, Northern or Central Europe. Then we're moving into the so-called fascia ventralis. This acts as a belt that binds the tunic together, but it was also used by the ancients as a sort of pocket, since they did not have pockets in their tunic, so that they could put their coins, tools, or whatever the heck they wanted. Then we move to a very important element of Roman military gear, the scarf, in Latin focalia. This was used so that the plates from the armor wouldn't rub against your neck and produce chafing. Oh, and against the cold, of course. Mind you, the tunic should now be raised above the knee for maximum mobility, but since she's not going to march from Italy to Germany, and she's not going to face anyone in combat any moment soon, we didn't care about that. Just imagine the tunic being raised higher.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Next, we have the subarmalis, although in period probably called thoracomachus. This is a sort of padded undergarment, in this case with reinforced shoulders to be worn underneath segmentata. It provides padding and it makes the armor a lot easier to wear. Here, maybe subarmalis coming from underneath. Next, we have the caligae, or military boots. Do not call them sandals. This is not the only type of shoes worn by the Romans, but they are the most quintessential shoe of the Roman legionary. They would probably change them every 6 months or so. And yes, if you're wondering, in cold areas they did wear socks. They were called udones. Sometimes, if it was really cold, they could wrap rabbit skin around the foot. Next, the armor, lorica segmentata, although the Romans didn't call it like that. Maybe they called it lorica laminata. No way to know. Also, I would like to report that this barbarian is not following my instructions.
Mea verba audite, Barbara. Who's Barbara?
Oh, don't worry about it, it's just Latin for barbarian, barbarus, but in feminine vocative case, said the careful Roman husband.
Oh, okay. Intended.
We interrupt this program to communicate we have just found the only husband on planet Earth who can call his wife a different woman's name and get away with it. Glory to Rome. Next up, we have the cingulum. This is the military belt and it has several functions. First, it helps binding the armor and pushing the blades towards a natural waist to make it a little more bearable. This works better with hamata, so male, rather than segmentata, but it does still help. Although it doesn't help in this case because the armor is massive for her. She would need half the amount of steel. It also shows that you are a military man, or I guess woman in this case. Also, legionaries did not get their hair stuck in the plates. And legionaries would wear it when they are not in full armor on their tunic to signify them belonging to the military. Last but absolutely not least, if you want to survive the battlefield, the helmet, in this case an Imperial Gallic Type H. As you can see, not only it leaves the face open so that the legionaries can see, also identify where their centurion and commanding officers were, but also they have openings on the side so that they can hear the commands being shouted during the battlefield in Latin. The side cheek plates, which most likely had some form of padding inside in order to be more comfortable as they connect with the face, would provide lateral protection, although this will become a distinctive element of Roman gear that often Celtic and Germanic populations would remove even whenever they would loot Roman helmets from the field. It was too Roman. And of course, as you can see, I've given her a scutum. This is an imperial shield. Usually these rectangular shields, which were very common, are based on the Dura Europos finding, which is the only intact shield that we have to this day. They provided excellent protection, and because they curved slightly around the body, the defense was not just for the front, but also for the side, and possibly, when in tight formations, such as the testudo, they would protect you and a little bit the man on your side as well. These would be constructed in 3 layers of plywood, interconnected following opposite lines in order to increase their resistance and strength, and then a rim, either of rawhide or metal, would be added. Bosses made of metal were added after the conquest of Spain by Scipio Africanus, as they copied the Iberian Celtic models used by the Carthaginians against Rome. Now, there is a lot that can be said about the Roman military, but one thing we can say for sure is that women were not allowed to become legionaries. Did you hear that? Ricche? And as a side note, if you were left-handed, what would you do? Would you be able to use the gladius, the sword, on the left and then the shield on the right? No, sir. If you were left-handed, you would be forced to use the sword and the shield like a right-handed man. That is because, of course, if you didn't do that, well, that would disrupt the cohesive nature of the Roman legion and its formation. So, very sorry, but Link from Legend of Zelda, not allowed. Unless it's Link from Breath of the Wild, in which case I think, what happened? Did he just become right-handed on me? Wait, what? But one thing is for sure, the Roman legionary that we have represented today is just one of the many possible units, military corps, equipment types that would be found in the Roman army, particularly when looked at within a very long span of time, the duration of both the Roman Republic all the way up to the Roman Empire. Armor types would vary, equipment would be changed and adapted depending on strategic and tactical decisions to represent the vision of the Senate, but most importantly, the Roman generals, the legati. The Romans would often adapt their equipment, improve it, copy their enemies, and then mass produce, as the professional nature of their army, together with the economic backbone provided by both the Republic and the Empire, would be the foundation of the success of the Roman military machine. Now, when it comes to the human experience, for Kenzie, this was a little bit of she had a lot of fun, but the moment the armor was put on, she really said she felt it on her shoulders, and of course, one of the reasons is the fact that the armor was not tailored for her. But also the fact that she's not a Roman legionary and she of course has no training when it comes to wearing Roman armor. Still, segmentata when compared to other types of Roman armor is definitely the less forgiving one, in the sense that perhaps if next time we dress her up in Lorica Hamata, so Roman male, although then again the period name would most likely be Gallica, then it would be much easier and a lot more forgiving for her. Although then again, people with long hair do know the struggle of taking it off afterwards, so maybe we won't do that. Still, one type of armor that I would love to try and put on her would be scale. In fact, if I have to be 100% honest with you, that would be a type of armor I would like to put on me. I love Roman squamata, Lorica squamata, or scale, and there are quite a lot of reproductions that you can find, but they're not really always the most historically accurate version, and some are a little bit on the cheap side perhaps, but I guess it would be theoretically possible to find a really good craftsman who could make a to-order Lorica squamata. I'll see if I can find one maybe in the near future and perhaps order one with Patreon support. Oh, and since I do mention Patreon, if you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, and thank you guys. If you like this, let me know, share it, comment, and all the social media stuff.